What is stress? How do you define it? Well, it's broadly defined as environmental demands, internal demands, or both, which tax or exceed your adaptive resources in an individual, social system, or tissue system. That's a more academic definition. Other definitions may be practical or, the idea that something that you care about is about to change. And it can be good or bad. A marriage is stressful. Graduating from college and getting a new job can be a major stressor. Clearly, a move to another town or even another house is a stressor. One thing we do know is the consequences of prolonged stress include psychological and physical health effects. This is not a psychological channel. I don't have a gazillion tips on how to think about things differently. I tend to focus on the science and the medical science, but it is really clear. There's just no doubt in the medical science. Those of us that stress has a significant impact on our health. It kills us early and it disables us early. So here's a quote. It's pervasive in today's society. Nearly a third of Americans rate their average stress levels as extreme, 8, 9, or 10, on a 10-point scale, where 10 corresponds to a great deal of stress. We got into this. We've had a couple of mini-series before on stress and its impact on health. We got into this based on some requests from subscribers recently and a book. She's faculty at Stanford and she's written a couple of books. This one is called The Upside of Stress, 2015. In that book, it's a New York Times bestseller, and she talks about the fact that it's not just stress, it's the perception of stress. And speaking of science, this is one of the articles that she talks about. It was published in Health Psychology, 2012, and the title was, Does the Perception That Stress Affects Your Health Matter? The Association of Health and Mortality. And what they did, it was the University of Wisconsin. They examined the relationship between stress, perception that stress affects your health, and health and mortality. They looked at, tens of thousands of folks. It was a lot of folks. They did a couple of surveys. The one survey was more of a standardized approach to, do you have things going on in your life that most of us would accept as stressful? Have you been married recently? Have you had a death, a loved one recently? Have you moved, etc.? Then they had a few more questions in that survey. And those questions were, do you think stress impacts your health? And they found some very interesting information. What they found was both impacted health. Scoring high on the objective stress components impacted your health. You died earlier if you had more stress in your life. But they also found that you died earlier if you were one of those people that said, yeah, and I think the stress impacts my health as well. And in fact, it wasn't additive. It was multiplicative, meaning 2 plus 3 doesn't equal 5, it equals 6. Or 2 plus 4 doesn't equal 6, it equals 8. Big impact if someone both had stress and was worried about it. So that's where she saw her opportunity. And that's a place where I see an opportunity as well. I don't think it's practical for all of us to assume we're going to get stress out of our life, but it is very practical to think about rethinking how we manage stress.